Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, April 8th. And with that, I have to say a big happy birthday to my brother, Richard. So happy birthday, Rick. Also, it's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. We have an absolutely loaded slate on the ice today. Tons of games to go over. And yeah, Calgary was able to get that win last night. Mo, I'm so glad you cashed with them. So great game there. Happy Tuesday to you, Matt. Good to see you in the chat this morning. I know you've been busy with work, but let's jump in to these games here. The Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins will be the first game we'll kick it off with. And again, like always, we'll do that recap at the end of the show. Also, there's so many games today that you've got to be kind of cautious with. The Devils, we don't know how they're going to come out. That's my number one caution today is the New Jersey Devils. We have Barkov expected now to hit the ice for the Florida Panthers tonight. That's going to be an epic battle between the Florida Panthers and Toronto. It seems like Florida is tanking for that first round matchup versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, but still that Atlantic division is there's so many things that could happen. With the Leafs now have the Lightning on deck, the Leafs sitting in the first, we could see the switch up and Tampa moving to that first spot. The Ottawa Senators could be moving into that third in the Atlantic as well. So many things to consider when we break down today's slate. So if you're only, if you're not watching the show for the full show and only for the recap, you're going to miss a bunch of those kind of things. So definitely tune in to the full show. I try to follow the slate based on a FanDuel, you guys. So if you are trying to jump around looking for those games, I definitely will be following that sort of slate. But we're going to start off here. 7 p.m. Eastern matchup between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We know these teams just played, and these are two teams where there's no playoff hopes, right? So we've got to look at what players are playing for getting out there on the ice. A sudden revenge angle here for the Pittsburgh Penguins after just losing to the Chicago Blackhawks 3-1. Out there on the road on Sunday. Chicago playing a very nice game in that one. Your goaltending matchup here should be Spencer Knight versus Tristan Jarry. The odds on FanDuel is we've got the Penguins as a $2 favorite, which is kind of crazy, right? Plus 164 here for the Chicago Blackhawks. Out of principle, I would love to just jump on Chicago with that plus money, but I'm not sure I can get there. We've got a total of 6.5, minus 114 to the under, and minus 108 to the over. I'm going to look for this first period to start off hot. The books do have it starting off hot as well. The over 1.5, minus 144. I think we're in, we can take both teams to score. I trust in Chicago to look to build that momentum out of that last game here. Hit Tristan Jarry, but I think the Penguins off of the loss, now back at home, will come out firing. So both teams to score in the first period up plus 154. We do risk what we saw last night between the Lightning and the Rangers, where the Lightning got 3 goals in the first and we weren't able to get anything out of the New York Rangers. So definitely always something to keep in mind when you're playing either both teams to score when you've got it over 1.5 that is not really that high at minus 144. When we are expecting a higher scoring game. So something to consider. I won't pay that juice, but I do like the plus 154 on both teams to score. And then I think we just look at some player points here, you guys, because I can't get behind the Penguins laying the 1.5, but we could see them winning this one 5-3, right? So then they would cover that 5.5 or 4-3. And that is my concern, that maybe Chicago really does come with that momentum and is able to keep it within a tight one. Looking at the players I want to circle here, you got to go back to Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby looking to up those stats. So Sidney Crosby for 2+ points tonight. They're not giving us as much value as I would like. That's coming in at plus 152. Sidney Crosby, 86 points on the season through 76 games, 30 goals and 56 assists. I expect Crosby to be able to finish the season with 90 points. He needs to come out strong tonight, get those points on the board. We look at the schedule here For the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're at the Devils on Friday. And again, the Devils team he'll probably score on because I just don't know how this team is going to come out. We'll see a lot of that tonight because they're sitting pretty solidified in their spot. But then they're home versus the Bruins and Capitals to end the season. So not their last home game here, still 2 loading at home after they go out on the road. So look for Sid for his points tonight. He has 4 goals and 3 assists in the last 5 games against the Blackhawks. So we have seen Sidney Crosby really step up versus the Blackhawks as well. 4 goals, 3 assists in 5 games. So look at those 2 plus points. You can look at the goal tonight too. I do think a point is loading via the goal. We can look at Raquel here. Raquel has been great on the season. 67 points on the season, 34 goals and 33 assists. So goal number at 35 is loading. But I do think Rust probably a stronger look here. Rust for the point tonight, point number 60. He has 28 goals and 31 assists. He is at a career high for his points now, but 1 more goal puts him at a career high for his goals. So I like Russ to get that point via a goal tonight. We were playing it in the last game. He was able to get the point, wasn't able to capitalize on that goal. So I do think that goal should be loading for him. I would look at a 3-way parlay, same game parlay for these players for their points between Raquel, Sid, and Russ. Now, if you put all 3 of them into that, they're not on the same lines. We do have Sid and Rust on the top line, Raquel on the second, but they're all 3 of them are on that top power play together. So I do think you look at all 3 for the point. I'm happy with them on that power play together. I think the second line will score. We're going to see Sid or Rust score on that top line with 1 getting the assist. So Sid, Raquel, and Rust, each for a point parlay together is plus 140. If you just want to do a line mate parlay that are on the same line and the same power play, that is Sid and Russ. Like I said, Raquel just not on that same top line. So Sid and Russ, just for the point, you will have to lay some juice at minus 110, but still another solid way to go. When we look here at Erik Karlsson, he is still loading for that goal, you guys. I'm playing him again. I'm not going to stop playing Erik Karlsson until he scores this goal because, the minute that we don't, he will score. 1 goal shy of becoming the 24th defenseman in NHL history to reach 200 goals. I think it happens this season, you guys. Plus 460, definitely worth a sprinkle, especially against Chicago and Spencer Knight. So I do think it's a strong way to go. When we look at the Chicago Blackhawks and where I'm going to look at these players, Connor Bedard, his point is so juicy at minus 158. He's got 60 points on the season in 77 games. So nice strength here for Connor Bedard. His career high in points is 61. So Connor Bedard looking to go over what he was able to do last season, and he's right on pace to be able to do so. The Chicago Blackhawks have the Bruins on Thursday, and the Jets on Saturday will be their last home game of the season. They will face Montreal and the Ottawa Senators next week to end it on a Monday, Tuesday night back-to-back. This team is second last in the league, going what they go this season, 22, 45, and 10. So definitely not a season Chicago fans really wanted to see, but looking at those draft picks, you guys, we know they got the first overall in 2023, the second overall last year, and they're primed for another great draft pick again in that draft lottery. So they're totally a rebuild team. Look for those points tonight. Ryan Donato, another player that you can't not circle for Chicago. Donato's personal best season this year, 29 goals. Last season, it was only 16, you guys. So he's almost doubled his numbers. 30 assists last season, or the best season he's had is 18. And then 59 points, his best season so far in the NHL before this one was 31. So he does have point number 60 loading and goal number 30. I would look at Donato and Connor Bedard parlayed for their points tonight. If you parlay them for their point each, that's coming in at plus 107. So those are the player props we're looking at in this one. Yeah, we got that under 4.5 for that alt number at plus 215. We weren't able to get the overtime bet, but I was okay with that. But what really sucked, Rob, was that exact score wasn't able to cash. We did 2-1 exact score on both sides of that. And the Winnipeg Jets just had to freaking blow it there and get that empty netter. Like if they could have just played the puck to the boards, not scored that empty netter, it would have been a great payday for us, but unable to do so. At least we got the under 4.5. Yeah, it was a really good game out there for sure. Okay, you guys, one game, 10 minutes. Let's speed things up. We got the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Hugely impactful game for both of these teams. You look at the Detroit Red Wings, not officially eliminated. They're 6 points behind Montreal with a game in hand for that wild card spot. I just think they're too far out of it. But don't tell Detroit that. They don't believe that. They are looking and hoping that other teams will lose out there and that they can push into the playoffs. They've won their last two. They got a great win versus Florida on Sunday. 2-1 win. We made that plus money with them. We've got Cam Talbot in net, who has strong numbers versus the Montreal Canadiens as well. 9-3-1 with a 1.61 goals against average and a 940 save percentage. So Cam Talbot has stood on his head versus the Montreal Canadiens. And when we look at Sam Montague here, he's got solid numbers versus the Red Wings as well. He's got a 902 save percentage and a 2.97 goals against average, going 3-1-2. So we're going to have a goaltending battle here out there on the ice. But we know both of these offenses are quite capable of scoring. Montreal, though, hasn't allowed more than 2 goals in their last 5 games on this winning streak they have been on. We know prior to that, they were allowing these goals to come in. They beat the Predators on Sunday 2-1. So both of these teams of 2-1 wins where their defense and goaltending was so solid. Now, this is the first of 3 out there on the road for the Red Wings. They face Florida on Thursday and then the Tampa Bay Lightning on Friday. So 2 massive hard games ahead of them here. They need to pick up this win if they want to stay in relevant talks for that wild card spot. I just don't think they get there, you guys. So looking at Montreal, they know they can't take this loss to the Red Wings, only being 6 points ahead of them. They're sitting 5th in the Atlantic, 85 points in 77 games. So Detroit also has a game in hand for that last wild card spot in the East. It's just going to be an absolute war out here on the ice tonight. I'm looking for goaltending and defense and cautious play, especially in that first period. I can't look at the full game because, once one of these teams scores and they open up the floodgates, we're going to see craziness happen. We're also going to see goaltending being pulled quite early, especially if you're Detroit in this one. This is nothing to lose if they are down. They're going to be playing so free out there, firing everything at Sam Montague. And we know in some of these games, he has let some easy shots in. So the first period is where I think we get the most cautious play, the most defensive play, the best goaltending play. In that third, I think things just break out like crazy. Now, if we see both of these teams scoring in that first period, look for the lockdown in the second. I will be coming back in on the under 1.5 in the second period. I do think the first and second have every opportunity of staying under the 1.5. I wouldn't take it in that third at all. I would be looking at the over 1.5 in the third period, if anything. So going into this, I'll take the under 1.5 in the first. It's coming in at -102. Expect both of these teams to be just absolutely defensively on their game, not looking for either one to be able to score. If we go into the second 0-0, I still like the under 1.5. It's that third period that I have caution with the full game total. This is a must win for both of these teams. Neither team can allow the other team to pick up those points. And because of that, you guys, I could see this being 1-1, 2-2 going into overtime, even 3-3. I can't think of the word. Chaos, that's the word I was thinking of, breaks out in that third period. And we are like sitting in a position where this is like a 3-1 going into the third, and then we see it get tied up. I do think there's every possibility of, lower scoring to start and then those goals coming in as chaos just breaks out. But the overtime bet, I still think is a solid play. The overtime bet coming in at +330. So as this could be, like I said, 1-1, 2-2, 3-3 going into overtime. We could have all of those games really play out here. When we're looking at goal scorers, I'm not going to touch anything, you guys, but I just want to give you the players for those stats. So if you're building any player prop parlays, you can look at who has had that strength. Patrick Laine has scored a goal in 3 of the last 4 appearances versus the Red Wings for Montreal. So Patrick Laine, definitely someone if you're looking for a player with that recency against the other team. He's got 20 goals and 13 assists for 33 points on the season. So I would look at his points before I looked at those goals, because I do think the goals, especially to start, will be hard to come by until one team opens this up, especially if one team goes up 2-0. You got Cole Caulfield, you got Nick Suzuki, and Lane Hudson here for Montreal. You guys know how much faith I have in all three of those players. So looking at their points, and then when we look at the Red Wings, Lucas Raymond has been an absolute stud, 75 points, 26 goals, and 49 assists. So assist number 50 is loading for him. DeBrincat, 35 goals, 30 assists for 65 points. Dylan Larkin, point number 65 loading. He's got 28 goals and 36 assists. And Patrick Kane out there, 20 goals, 34 assists for 54 points. So definitely lots of opportunities to jump in on some of those players. Again, I'm not going to take any player props in this one, you guys. This game is too impactful for these teams, and I could see it going either way with that full game total. Yeah, it was an absolutely dirty, empty netter that cost us that game. I hit your under 4.5 on the Blues and Jets. I love that. Yeah, and we lost that exact score because of that empty netter by the Winnipeg Jets. I could have killed them out there. Dylan Larkin, anytime goal. Yeah, Dylan Larkin, he's been so strong. 28 goals, 36 assists for 64 points. Blake, I like where you're going with that one. The first period boost. Tampa Bay top line came up huge. Yeah, if you wrote their team total over 3.5 as well, you know, we got those 3 goals in the first period. So glad you got that first period for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That team has been so strong. And Mo, I don't blame you for Lane Hudson for 2+ points here for the Montreal Canadiens. He's got 64 points on the season. If it wasn't for Celebrini, you know, he would be getting the Calder Trophy this year. Celebrini's still the odds-on favorite. So it's been craziness out there with these rookies coming out so nice and strong. Let's talk the Ottawa Senators versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is huge for the Ottawa Senators tonight, you guys, and let's get into why. Firstly, the odds are minus 118 on the money line, minus 102 here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, a total of 6.5, minus 132 to the under. Now let's talk about the great news here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Meredith Gaudreau had her baby. Johnny Gaudreau was born over the weekend. You know, this team has been playing for Johnny all season. They're now back at home after losing their last 3, being shut out in their last 2. Look for his best friend, Monahan, to score for Johnny and his new baby. That is the bright note here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're going to look at Monahan. Monahan for the anytime goal coming in at plus 200. Now you could look at him for 2+ points as well. That's coming in at plus 285. I do think Columbus could get off to a hot start. Winning the first period money line at minus 108. If you want to do the 3-way money line, which means you can't tie that first period, it's almost 2-1 to your money at plus 195. I think the Senators, though, if Columbus goes up first, they might start with some nerves here because this is a big game for them. They could clinch that playoff spot. But I do think ultimately they come back and get the win. My problem with looking at Columbus right now is I don't want to lay any juice at minus 118 for the Senators. I don't want to lay the juice at minus 118 going into this game. I think we're going to be able to get a better number because I do think Columbus comes out, scores quick on Allmark, and then the Ottawa Senators come back, get their feet under them, and let those nerves go away once that happens. So looking at the Ottawa Senators, they've won their last 3. They got the win versus Columbus just on Sunday, 4-0. So you got that instant revenge angle here for Columbus to start this game. This is the last road game of the regular season for the Ottawa Senators. They're home versus Montreal on Friday, the Flyers, the Blackhawks on Tuesday, and then the Carolina Hurricanes to end it. So sitting 4th in the Atlantic here, you guys, with 90 points in 77 games. First wildcard spot in the East. They're 5 points ahead of Montreal, and they're only 2 points behind the Florida Panthers for that 3rd spot in the Atlantic. This game is crucial to them because with the win tonight, they will clinch that playoff spot. This will be the first time in 7 seasons. The last time the Ottawa Senators made the postseason was 2017. This is a big night for this team here playing in Columbus. And I just think it comes here that they're able to clinch the playoff spot and not at home versus Montreal. I know Columbus is strong at home. They've got a strong road record. 6 in the Metro, 77 points in 76 games for them. The math isn't in their favor to make the postseason here for Columbus. I just don't see it happening, you guys. They would need to get these wins, and we would have to see those 2 teams in front of them taking those losses, and I just don't think it happens. But I will look for strong play here out of the Ottawa Senators. Now, we have seen Brady Tkachuk and Nick Cousins skating over the weekend, so they are on this road trip. I do think just having them here on the road trip is huge. Jake Sanderson has been able to score in 3 of the last 4 games here for the Ottawa Senators as well. But yeah, this one, I think Ottawa gets it done, but Columbus goes up first. So that is how I'm going to go and bet this one. I'm going to look at Columbus first period, money line at -108. I won't take the 60-minute or the first period 3-way money line, because that is +195. But then if we see Ottawa score as well, we're not relying on that, because then we won't win it. I like the money line, and then we could get the push. What I will do here, though, is I hope Columbus goes up first, and I'm going to come back in on the Ottawa Senators to win it. Again, Meredith Goudreau had Johnny and her baby, and I think Monahan steps up. So give me Monahan for the 2+ points at +285, the anytime goal at +200. But this is about the Ottawa Senators finding a way to get the win, and doing so. They've been strong on the road, 18-4 on the road. We see a home record, though, of Columbus. Columbus can score at home, so 22-10-5. So I do think this is probably that higher scoring game out of them, but Ottawa will try to lock down the Columbus Blue Jackets for sure. The Boston Bruins then face the New Jersey Devils. Now, Boston has been a fun team to watch as of late, with Morgan Geekie really lighting things up. He's having a great season, and he's going to be a free agent this summer. So we have to look at Morgan Geekie to continue to make us some freaking money, you guys. The Boston Bruins are a +188 dog here on the road, and the New Jersey Devils, there's no way I am touching them. They're -230 on that money line, -1.5 at +118. We know who the better team is. The problem is, you look at the New Jersey Devils. They're sitting third in the Metro with 89 points in 77 games. Their first round, it's going to be against the Carolina Hurricanes, right? Like, they're pretty cemented into where they sit. So what are we going to see out of the New Jersey Devils with, a couple game, like a handful of games in hand? Are we going to see them trying to play great hockey, fly around out there, really be ready for the postseason? Or are we going to see them resting players, shorter shifts for their top lines, and just not that production? And I would think it would be the second here. I'm going to look at something here for Boston. I'm going to look at Boston to be able to score. Jacob Markstrom, I do think, will allow a couple goals in by the Boston Bruins, and the Bruins have a team total of 2.5 at +134. You've got to look at these teams that are going into the postseason. And I always wonder, as a coach, how I would want my teams to go in, because we've seen teams really rest players, and then they get into that first round of the postseason, and then they struggle because they haven't been playing at the same level and consistency that they had all season to get to that postseason. And it takes them a game or two in the postseason to be able to get back into form. Now, we've seen other teams, though, rest their players, rest their older players, and completely show up in that first round. So it really depends. We've also seen teams like the Florida Panthers last season make huge pushes into that postseason and then continue to roll hot. So I think the Devils here will play more of a let's rest some of our players kind of system, especially in this game, versus the Boston Bruins team that's 8th in the Atlantic, lost their last 8 road games, and really have nothing to play for. When we're seeing the Devils versus the Penguins on Friday, the Islanders on Sunday, and then they're at the Boston Bruins on Tuesday, and they end it with the Red Wings at home in their next game on the 16th. So I think, if anything, we'll get the rest here. We'll get the rest on Friday. We'll see a little bit more out of them in those last couple of games as they go into the postseason. But again, then you got to worry about injury. And we know this team really did suffer getting Jack Hughes injured in that game versus the Vegas Golden Knights, where still I don't know why there was no penalty on Jack Eichel. Yes, I am bitter because I did have the New Jersey Devils to make it all the way this season. I had a ticket on them to make the Stanley Cup Finals. So a little disappointed with what we've seen out of the New Jersey Devils this year. But back to the Bruins. This is where my plays are going to be. on the Bruins. So looking at the Bruins here, I'm going to take the over 2.5 goals at plus 134. I think the defense will let up here. We know no Dougie Hamilton still in the lineup for the New Jersey Devils. I'm going to look at Pasta. Pastor Nick is looking for 100 points on the season. You got to look at these milestones that the players are going to reach. So Pasta coming in has 97 points. He's 3 points away. 40 goals and 57 assists. When we look at the schedule here for the Bruins, they have Chicago at home on Thursday, at the Predators on Sunday, and then they finish the season versus the Devils at home on Tuesday. So they've only got 3 games ahead of them after this game. Pasta needs basically a point per game, and I expect a point tonight from him in this one. So give me Pasta for the point, parlayed with Geeky, Morgan Geeky for a point. That's coming in at plus 122. I do think both of these players come out nice and strong in this one. Morgan Geeky, I think, gets goal number 30. That's coming in at plus 310. He has 29 goals, and last year he had a career high of only 17 goals. So Morgan Geeky, going to be a free agent this summer, really stepping up for the Boston Bruins and also for his future and what he's going to get paid as a free agent. You got to wonder if Boston is willing to sign him here this summer or if we're going to see him move on. But definitely a resume builder if he can get 30 goals on the season, or a 31 or 32. With Chicago on deck, if he gets a goal tonight, I expect another goal versus the Chicago Blackhawks. So it's going to be a great finish, I think, for Morgan Geeky, but Geeky and Pasta for those points tonight, parlayed at plus 122. Holly, like that. Death, taxes, and Jack Hughes' season-ending injury are the only locks in life. It is very true. Sanderson, Jake Sanderson. His home and away splits favored when he's with Ottawa, that bad defensive team like Columbus. Yeah, and Sanderson has been playing so strong for us out there. I definitely look at him for the Ottawa Senators. He scored in 3 of the last 4 games for the Sens as well. Let's move on to the inconsistent Carolina Hurricanes, and I just think that should be their name anytime they are playing on the road. You can't trust them out here on the road, especially as a minus 220 favorite. That's just insane for this team on the road, you guys, against a Buffalo Sabres team that, yes, is eliminated, but looking to make some waves as they end the season nice and strong. We know they've got the playmakers to be able to pull off the upset. So based on the numbers at plus 180, it's got to be a sprinkle on Buffalo for me to pull off an upset versus Carolina. We got a total of 6.5 minus 124 to the under, plus money to that over. I do think the Sabres, their team total can go over. Their team total coming in at 2.5 at minus 112. The puck line here for the Sabres at plus 1.5 is minus 142. So we're actually starting to get better value on that puck line as money is coming in here on Carolina. It was closer to minus 150 earlier in the day. So I think as the day goes on, we should get better numbers for the Sabres. I wouldn't do the puck line right now. I would wait to see what that comes down to, especially if it comes down to minus 130. It's a great situation for us to jump in. If anything, I'd take the sprinkle on the money line. It just looks so attractive against the Carolina Hurricanes. And you look at the Carolina Hurricanes and where they're sitting. They've lost their last 2. They took the loss to the Boston Bruins on Saturday. This team out there on the road just isn't a team I can trust. They've gone 16, 18, and 3 on the road. We have a Buffalo Sabres team that's gone 21, 14, and 3 at home. So why would we give so much value here to the Carolina Hurricanes? James Reimer versus Prochekov in a net for the Canes, and Trocheckov, I can't say his name this morning, 2 games versus Buffalo with an .892 save percentage. Every stat, everything that I see just leads me more and more to Buffalo, because James Reimer, a .921 save percentage in his career versus Carolina, he stood on his head. Now, he hasn't got those wins. 22 games played, going 6-12, but a 2.51 goals against average. I think he can do enough. We've seen the Buffalo Sabres win their last 4. They beat the Boston Bruins 6-3. The Canes just lost to the Bruins 5-1. We knew that loss was coming against the Boston Bruins because the inconsistencies on the road. We've seen the Sabres also win their last 9 as a home dog. They've won the last 3 meetings versus Carolina in Buffalo. So what am I missing? Why are the books trying to tempt us here to think Carolina is such a good team. Again, they are second in the Metro, 96 points in 76 games. Seventh in the Atlantic, too little, too late. Not mathematically eliminated, but don't tell the Buffalo Sabres that. 74 points in 76 games. But Tage Thompson's been on fire. Alex Tuch's been on fire. We got tagged for those 2 goals in the last game. If you fired it up to the hat trick, you would have cashed there. I didn't fire it up. I only took him for the 2+ goals. Tagged for goal tonight at plus 155. 70 points, 93 goals. 70 points, 93 goals does not make sense. 43 goals and 27 assists out there. So Tage Thompson has been so strong. Like I said, Hattie in the last trick versus the Boston Bruins. Rasmus Dahlin, you also want to look at here. Alex Tuch, like I said, Alex Tuch got us a goal in the last game as well. 33 goals, 29 assists for 62 points. And then Dahlin rolling in here, 62 points, 15 goals, and 47 assists. Now you can also look at Ryan McLeod. Ryan McLeod, an interesting look tonight. He's got 48 points for the Buffalo Sabres with 19 goals, 29 assists. So goal number 20 is loading. The last 2 home games versus Carolina, Ryan McLeod has scored the first goal for the Buffalo Sabres. So I love trends like that, you guys. I wouldn't take him first goal. If you do, if you're brave enough to do so, it has cashed in the last 2 for the Sabres, but I would look at him for that anytime goal, especially because it is goal number 20 loading. Now, we know the Carolina Hurricanes have great playmakers. Taylor Hall still looking for point number 40. Sharakovich is sitting here with 45 points, 19 goals, so looking for goal number 20 on the season. Seth Jarvis has 30 goals, 31 assists, so 61 points. And Sebastian Aho, 70 points, 28 goals, and 42 assists. So let me know if you're liking anything for Carolina. I'm just going to put all of my plays here on Buffalo. So again, it's the Sabres team total over 2.5 goals. I would sprinkle on that money line at plus 180. Tage Thompson for the goal, and Ryan McLeod for the goal. His goals plus 450. I love Ryan McLeod at plus 450 for a goal tonight. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Florida Panthers is going to be one of the more interesting games of the night to see how this one shakes out, you guys. So current odds on FanDuel for this matchup between these 2 teams. The Toronto Maple Leafs rolling in as a plus 120 underdog. We have the Florida Panthers at minus 144. Total sitting at 5.5. Now we are seeing Barkov is listed day to day. So I just want to double check on this right now if we're seeing any updates for the Florida Panthers after that morning skate, because it was looking like it's Barkov. So we are seeing Joseph Wall confirmed in net for Toronto, and not Stolarz and Bobrovsky confirmed. When we look at the injury report for the Florida Panthers, it does look like Sam Reinhart and Barkov will play. Sam Bennett is listed as out. So when we were rolling into the morning, Barkov was day-to-day, Sam Bennett was day-to-day, Forsling was day-to-day, and Sam Reinhart was day-to-day. Sam Reinhart will be playing, Forsling will be playing, and Barkov will be playing. The only player not playing right now is Sam Bennett. That's huge that they've decided to put this lineup in. They were all listed as rest day-to-day if they would be playing tonight. So we will get players out here for the Florida Panthers, but what is their goal is a huge question mark. They're only 2 points behind the Ottawa Senators, and everyone thinks that they are tanking here for a matchup in the first round with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So are we going to see them take the loss? So many question marks in the Atlantic with what these teams are hoping and playing for out there. The Florida Panthers have lost their last 5. No one thought they would lose that last game to the Red Wings, but if you join me here, we took the Red Wings for the win. They were able to get the win 2-1. I did think this team would return home and be able to play strong versus Toronto. They've got, so they're home off a 4-game road trip that just was terrible out there. They've got the Red Wings at home on Thursday. Third in the Atlantic, 92 points in 77 games, 2 points in front of the Ottawa Senators. There's 6 games between Toronto and Florida. So when we look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're first in the Atlantic, 98 points in 76 games. They have a game in hand over the Florida Panthers, 6 points ahead of them. In this game, I tell you. And then you look at Tampa after their win last night, 96 points in 77 games. So Toronto's only 2 points ahead of the Lightning, and then they have the Lightning on deck on Wednesday. So this is crazy. Who wants that first spot in the Atlantic? Where are these coaches looking at the future for the playoffs on who they're going to line up against, and who they want in that first round will determine, I think, what we see out here. I wish I was in both of these coaches' heads to really know what they were thinking. I do think one thing we can count on is a defensive matchup between these two teams. The under 1.5 in the first period coming in at -110. I want to take the first period and not the full game in case we see that huge push in that third period and this game goes to overtime, because if it goes to overtime, I do think we can go over at the total of 5.5. So give me the under 1.5 in the first period at -110. The last time these teams matched up, we did see Toronto get the win in April. That was a 3-2 win. They trend to that under. Look for defense, look for goaltending, especially with Joseph Well and Bobrovsky confirmed in goal. Now, Toronto will want to get up on that power play. Their power play able to convert at 26%. And we've seen the kill here of the Florida Panthers. It's right around 80.9. So it's not weak by any means, but it's not elite levels. Like it's not 81, 82 kind of levels. So the Panthers have been struggling to score. They've scored 2 goals or less in their last 5 games in this losing streak. So they've been struggling to put it in the back of the net with Barkov back out there on the ice, with Sam Reinhart back out there on the ice. I do think, and Forsling, I do think we see more offensive production out of them here. I would look at those shots on goal, because I think between Wall and Bobrovsky, they know this could be a playoff matchup, and we're going to see the best out of goaltending. So the under 1.5 in the first period. If you're looking at players who are looking to hit milestones or points tonight, I would look at Barkov for a point back out here on the ice for Florida. When we look at Toronto, Matthew Nyes coming in as a nice long shot goal at plus 330. He's got 26 goals and 26 points for 26 goals, 26 assists for 52 points. He has scored a goal in each of the Maple Leafs' last 3 versus the Eastern Conference opponent, so he's been able to step up. We also have John Tavares. I would look at him for the power play point. If you're looking at anyone for a power play point, it would be Tavares for me. 70 points on the season, 36 goals, 34 assists. You've also got Nylander here with 82 points, 44 goals, 38 assists. And Austin Matthews, 71 points, 30 goals, and 41 assists. It's going to be a great matchup. I think those points are hard to come by tonight for sure. Yeah, Mo, I completely agree with you. It's like they're tanking out here, so they will get Toronto for the first round. And, you know, if they come out here and don't show all of their cards, and that's another thing you got to think. When these teams play each other so close to the playoffs, and this could be a potential playoff matchup, those teams, I do think, come out stronger defensively and in net to try to get in the mindset of the other opponent. So I do think the under, especially in that first period, is the way we want to go. I hope this one goes 0-0 into the second period. I wonder if we could actually bet the 0-0 in the first period. Might be something I do. Stay tuned to my X account to see if I'm going to go 0-0 into the second period. And Jo, you are so welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're able to join us this morning. And Lamont, good morning to you as well. Freddie, let's make some freaking money. That is for sure. That's what I want to do on the daily. Let's just make freaking money, you guys. We're going to look at the 8 p.m. Eastern slot. We've got 4 more games to go over. Again, we'll do the recap at the end of the show if you are just joining us. We got the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Dallas Stars, kicking off that 8 p.m. hour with the Vancouver Canucks here on the road, a plus 158 underdog, minus 192 for the Dallas Stars. Dallas off that stupid loss to the Minnesota Wild. I was so frustrated because you guys know I'm a Calgary fan. I was hoping Dallas would be able to take care of business versus Minnesota, and they did for so long in that game, but allowed Minnesota to get back in that game and get that game to OT, and Minnesota picked up the points. Dallas still picked up a point, but I needed them to win in regulation. We've got a total of 5.5 in this one, minus 114 to the over, minus 106 to the under. I can't take this one under that total. I do think Vancouver here is going to come out nice and strong in this matchup. Sorry, you guys, I got a little bit of a tickle in my throat. I think Vancouver is going to come out nice and strong in this matchup. They're coming off a loss to the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday, 3-2. Demko in net for Vancouver tonight. Now, he hasn't faced the Stars this season, but he does have really strong numbers versus the Dallas Stars. My problem is I don't think Demko's had enough playtime under his belt, and the Dallas Stars offensively are so strong that I think they're going to hit Demko. So his record versus Dallas, if he's able to live up to this game goes under the total, but I don't think he'll live up to his record. 7-1-1 versus the Dallas Stars with a .924 save percentage. We got Jake Ottinger here, 24 wins and 2.08 goals against average at home this season. So he's been fantastic. He's won his last 9 home starts as well, including 26 saved shots on goal in that last win versus Vancouver. But that last win versus Vancouver for Ottinger at home, while he saved 26 shots, we still saw that 5-3 win for the Dallas Stars, pushing us over that total. So that was back in January, and we got a total of 5.5 here. I don't think Demko is going to perform like we've seen him before versus the Stars, and I think Ottinger will let in a couple here. The power play for Dallas, what the heck has happened to this power play? I was going over the numbers. They're 1-13 in their last 4 games on the power play. 1-13 for the Dallas Stars. That needs to change, and I do think we look at coaching here, and they know that power play has to get clicking for the playoffs. So power play points tonight for the Dallas Stars on a Vancouver Canucks team, I do think would be a great way to go. Now, we've seen the Dallas Stars lose their last game to the Minnesota Wild in OT. The Stars haven't lost consecutive home back-to-backs since all the way back in December. So January, February, March, start of April here, no back-to-back home losses. I don't think they take the back-to-back loss here. But the problem is, and this is a huge problem for the Dallas Stars, who is on deck? The Jets are on deck on Thursday. And I do think, they kind of play a looser game in this one because they're going to want to lock down in that game versus the Jets. They're sitting second in the Central with 105 points in 77 games, 5 points behind the Jets with the game in hand. So while they could get the win tonight, pick up to 3 points behind and then face the Jets and then pick up 2 if they get the win versus the Jets, it will be a 1 point in that division. And then they have the Red Wings and the Preds. So they would have a couple of easy games after that. So I'm looking for them to get the win, but not to be easy here versus Vancouver. I do think they play that looser, non-defensive style of hockey in this one, and this one goes over the 5.5, especially because this team is able to score. I do think, we saw them back in March. So the last time they played, 4-1 win for the Stars over Vancouver, and the time before, like I was talking, at home with Ottinger and net, it was a 5-3 game. And I'm expecting that 5-2, 5-3 style game here for the Dallas Stars, and them still to be able to put their goals up on the board. I'd look at Granlund. He scored a goal in 4 of the last 5 appearances versus the Vancouver Canucks. So Michael Granlund here. We've seen Thomas Harley step up nice and strong for the Stars as well. 4 points in the last 4 games versus Vancouver. So I would look at those playmakers. I'd look at Wyatt Johnson on that power play as well. I like his power play opportunities out there. Okay. We've got the New York Islanders coming off that win versus the Washington Capitals, but a win that did see Ovi score goal number 895, and the Islanders get a win at 4-1. So it was a great game in their last one out. Special moments. Sorokin will always be remembered as the goaltender that allowed Ovi to score a goal number 895, but he will go down in the history books as that being the first goal that Ovi had ever scored on him. So it's not like Ovi had scored a whole bunch on him before. Sorokin in his last 5 games versus the Predators in his career, he's gone 1-3-1, you guys. He's got an 885 save percentage and a 2.97 goals against average. Those aren't pretty numbers. Now, when we look at Saros there for the Nashville Predators, Saros has been strong, 7-2 in 9 games with a 903 save percentage and a 2.76 goals against average. I'm expecting some goals in this one. The Predators have lost their last 6. They lost that last game to the Montreal Canadiens on Sunday, 2-1. And when we look at the Islanders, they have the Rangers at home on Thursday. You know the Islanders want to spoil playoff hopes here for the Rangers, as the Rangers are trying their best to get into that wild card spot. I just think too little, too late. The Islanders not mathematically eliminated either, but again, too little, too late out of this team. 78 points in 76 games. I do think the Isles struggle to score on Saros. I think the goals that will be coming will be out of the Preds. I could see this being a 3-2, 4-2 finish here for the Nashville Predators. I'll take the Islanders team total under 2.5. Under 2.5 goals here for the New York Islanders, coming in at plus 136. We look at the Predators. Yes, they're eliminated, but they want to break this losing streak. They've got 2 on the road, Utah and Vegas on deck, then Utah and the Stars at home. So Utah and the Stars are going to be hard teams for this team to beat, and Utah and Vegas. So the Predators need to get a win here, and I think they get it over the Isles. So if you just want to take the Predators, odds on this game, the Nashville Predators are a plus 106 underdog. I would hit them there. I wouldn't touch the Isles, especially at minus 128. Total of 5.5. I don't want anything to do with it because I do think the Isles stay under their team total of 2.5. And that way we're getting plus money. The Islanders in Nashville have gone 0-5 in the last 5 meetings. They're also 2-10 in the last 12 meetings overall versus the Nashville Predators. So the Predators winning 8 of the last 10. I love their price here at home. And the home team, home ice, has been advantage winning for the last 5. Let's move on to the Seattle Kraken, you guys. We got the Kraken versus Utah. Okay, when we look at the Seattle Kraken, they're a plus 190 dog here on the road versus the Utah Hockey Club. Utah rolling in at minus 230. It's crazy to see Utah as such a big favorite at home here versus Seattle Kraken. Now, to start the season, this team was stronger on the road than at home, but it's kind of like evened out. We got a total of 6.5, juice to that under at minus 124. We've got Grubauer in net for the Seattle Kraken. His inconsistencies on the season lead me to believe that the Utah Hockey Club should be able to get this win. But again, I don't want to back them at that price. You've got minus 230. We've got a puck line of minus 1.5 at plus 108. They should be able to win and cover this puck line. I don't trust the Seattle Kraken on the second night of a back-to-back. The trends are completely against them. We've seen their struggles. And then last night, how the heck did they beat the LA Kings? Not what I expected. I had the Kings in regulation. You guys know that. We laid the juice in reg, but the Kings came out first, and then the Seattle Kraken answered back. So the Kraken have actually won their last 3, completely eliminated 7th in the Pacific, looking to finish the season strong. Brandon Montour has been stepping up for them, but the problem is Grubauer in net tonight. We're going to see those goals out of the Utah Hockey Club. We did see Seattle win the last matchup 4-2, but they've lost their last 13 games on the second night of a back-to-back, 0-6 on the puck line on the second night of a back-to-back in their last 6. So this is definitely a spot where Utah should be able to come out, put up those goals, get the win, and cover the puck line. Caution with that puck line, though, because of how Seattle has been playing so freely out there. I'd look at Utah's team total, the Utah Hockey Club's team total over 3.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 130. I think you look at the players for their points as well. Clayton Keller has 26 goals, 56 assists for 82 points. I'd look at Clayton Keller. Nick Schmaltz coming out here, 60 points is loading. 17 goals, 45 assists, so 59 points. So Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller, and then Logan Cooley, 56 points. He has scored at least 1 goal in 4 of the last 6 when Utah has been the favorite. So, and then Dylan Guenther, I like all of them to come out nice and strong tonight. Dylan Guenther has 53 points. I could see him getting 2 points in this game versus the Seattle Kraken. I think this is a big night for the Utah Hockey Club guys to pad their stats out here. Clayton Keller, I wouldn't be shocked if he got 2 points, and then Dylan Guenther for 2 points. And then I'll look at Logan Cooley and Nick Schmaltz for a point each. So any combination of those guys definitely should be a winner tonight, you guys. We're going to move on to the next game. You're going to take the Kraken in reg. Plus money. Okay, good luck with the Kraken in reg. That is, you took the Kraken in reg last night versus the LA Kings. Yeah, you did take that. So congratulations on that for sure. You're going to take Utah in regulation. Yeah, Utah in regulation should be a great bet there, Joe. I think they get it done. And more than likely, they win this 5-2, 5-1, 5-2. You just can't trust Seattle on the second night of a back-to-back at all. The Vegas Golden Knights take on the Colorado Avalanche next, and this is your late night matchup. That's going to be a good one. 9:40 Eastern, the puck will drop between the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado. Vegas rolling in as the underdog at plus 105. Their leading scorer, Thomas Hertl, still out of this lineup. Minus 126 for Colorado. Total of 5.5. Minus 128 to the over 5.5. Now, Vegas's defense has really been rounding into form as of late. In the last 10 games, a 2.18 goals against average. So I love what we're seeing out of Vegas defensively. This is how we see this team play as the season goes on. Their defense starts to tighten up more and more and more each and every single game going into those playoffs. Adin Hill expected. Now they've got a tough matchup here versus Colorado with their speed and Mackenzie Blackwood between the pipes. Now Vegas has won their last two. They beat Vancouver on the road on Sunday 3-2, and Colorado rolling in here fresh off that loss on Saturday to the St. Louis Blues, allowing the Blues to win their 12th game. But the Blues winning streak did come to an end last night versus the Winnipeg Jets, and that 3-1, and still bitter. It should have been a 2-1 ending. But the Blues, they lost to the Blues 5-4. So we saw that higher scoring game out of them. This is the last game on the road for the Vegas Golden Knights of 3. They're home versus the Kraken and the Predators in their next 2 games, and then they're at the Flames and Vancouver to end the season. So they will end the season out there with 2 games on the road. This is the last one of 3, and then 2 games at home. And when we look at Colorado, they're versus Vancouver on Thursday for their last home game. So of the regular season, we know in playoff time they will get those home games, but in regulation, those last games are so important for these teams to finish strong. Then the Kings and the Ducks. So when we look at their standings, Vegas is sitting first in the Pacific, 102 points in 77 games, 5 points ahead of the LA Kings, who are second in the Pacific. This could be a postseason preview with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche, you guys. The Avs sitting third in the Central, 98 points in 78 games, 7 points behind the Dallas Stars, 5 points in front of the Blues with a game in hand. They definitely don't want to fall down in the Blues to take things over. I think the Blues will pretty much be sitting in that spot. I can't see them taking over Colorado, but if Colorado loses and the Blues win, we could see that kind of situation. I'm going to look here because I do think this could be a postseason matchup for defense and goaltending to rule this game. The under 1.5 coming in at plus 100 in the first period is my favorite bet of this one. We've seen Vegas win their last 5 road games. This team has been really turning things back on. And with the price we're getting for the Vegas Golden Knights, I know the talent of Colorado, but if they can't score tonight on Adin Hill because of this defense, Vegas wins this in a lower scoring game. So if Vegas wins, it's lower scoring. If Colorado convinces Vegas to play in their style of game, if Colorado opens it up with a couple of goals, we're going to see Vegas in the situation where the game goes over the total. So I think that first period, we see the defense, we see the goaltending stand on their heads, and then I don't want anything to do with the full game total. But I do think it's worth a shot under 1.5 in the first period, and then Vegas to get the win at plus 105. We're getting the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 105 with Jack Eichel just playing crazy right now. His anytime goal coming in at plus 195. He has been averaging over a point per game in his last 10, 6 goals, 7 assists in his last 10. Now, Shea Theodore has scored a goal in each of his last 2 games when the Vegas Golden Knights have been a dog. So in this situation, Shea Theodore really does step up. And again, Thomas Hertl still out of this lineup, which is their best offensive player. So without Hertl, Vegas needs to win a lower scoring game. Now, Valerie Nichushkin here for Colorado. That was a good brain fart. For Colorado, I do think should be able to come out nice and strong now. He should be able to get goal number 20 tonight. I do think this is a 2-1, 3-1 style game here. I would take a chance on Valerie Nichushkin for Colorado to be able to net that goal that Colorado needs. He's coming in at plus 170, 19 goals, 12 assists, and 31 points on the season. You could also look at Valerie Nichushkin on the power play. I do think this is that tight of a battle. Those power play opportunities need to be converted here for Colorado for them to be able to score because of how the defense is playing. This is another game we can look at overtime. Plus 320 for the overtime bet here between these two teams. And I do think betting a bunch of these games to go to overtime, we'll do the overtime recap at the end. We're going to hit, 3 of our 4 overtime bets that we're looking at. So I'm going to take this one to go to overtime. But let's jump into the recap, you guys. No player props in this because I do think it should be a solid game. Yeah, Lankaken and Valerie Natushkin, the only bets he got for the Colorado game, Blake. And I think it's a great way to go. I'm looking for both of those guys to come out nice and strong. You got to love what NHS has been able to do joining this team as well. Okay, let's do the recap. You guys, we're already at the 55-minute mark. So recap time. We'll then go over those player props and those overtime bets. And I just want to make sure I get all of those overtime bets to you as well. These games are so important, you guys, for these teams that we're going to see so much effort out of them, especially in those thirds to tie up these games. So recap, then player props, then overtime one more time. Firstly, the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Give me both teams to score in the first period at plus 154. I'm then going to look at the player points. Sidney Crosby, 2+ points. And then that's coming in at plus 152. I think Raquel can come out nice and strong, and Russ can come out nice and strong as well. Give me Raquel, Sid, and Rust each for a point parlay together at plus 140. On the other side, Connor Bedard and Ryan Donato for a point at plus 107. When we look at the Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens, I'm going to look at this one to be a tight battle between these two teams that starts off in the first period. Strong goaltending numbers versus each other. Look for that defensive lockdown in such an important game. Must win for both of these teams. Under 1.5 in the first period at minus 102. One of my favorite bets of the day. I just can't see either team looking to go up quick, even though they'll want to. I think goaltending will hold them off. This is an overtime bet. This one coming in at overtime at plus 330. I'm not going to play player props, but if you want to, Patrick Laine has scored in the 3 of the last 4 versus the Red Wings for Montreal. Definitely someone you want to look at. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Lane Hudson. You guys were throwing out Lane Hudson for 2+ points. I like as well. And then for the Red Wings, it is Raymond, DeBrincat, Larkin, and Kane. Don't forget Erik Karlsson for goal number 20 there. For 200th goal, for the Penguins, that's plus 460. The Ottawa Senators and the Columbus Blue Jackets. I do think Columbus starts off the scoring here at home after being shut out in their last couple of games. Give me the Columbus Blue Jackets at minus 108 on the money line in the first period. But then the Ottawa Senators to come back and get the win. They're minus 118 going into this game, and I do think Columbus goes up first, so I want a better number. As soon as Columbus scores, I'm going to come back in on the Ottawa Senators at the plus money we will get for them at that point. I do think Monahan will get those points on the board. 2+ points for Monty tonight for Columbus at plus 285. Goal for plus 200, I do think is in the works as well. Jake Sanderson on the other side for the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa, with the win tonight, which I do believe they get, will clinch a wild card spot for the first time since 2017. So look for Ottawa to pull out the win. We just want a better number. The Boston Bruins versus the New Jersey Devils. I don't think we're going to get much out of the Devils tonight as they are locked into that third spot in the Metro. They should be facing the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. Look for rest out of some of these players. I'm going to look for Boston to do what they've been doing and score those goals. Over 2.5 goals for the Boston Bruins at plus 134. Look for Pasta and Geeky to get their points on the board. Pasta and Geeky for a point parlay together at plus 122. Morgan Geeky for goal number 30 at plus 310. The Carolina Hurricanes versus the Buffalo Sabres. I can't bet the Carolina Hurricanes right now on the road. I'm going to look for the Sabres to go over 2.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 112. If you got a puck line plus 1.5 in that minus 140 range, we are seeing the juice starting to drop. So if you like the puck line here for the Sabres, because I do think it's a tight game, wait until pregame as money keeps coming in on Carolina. I would sprinkle the money line, if anything, for the Buffalo Sabres before I took the puck line at this moment with the juice that we're having to lay. Tags Thompson's been on fire for us. Give me him for a goal at plus 155. Ryan Leonard, I'll take for the goal at plus 450 as well. He scored in the last 2 home games for the Sabres versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So I do think Ryan Leonard is in for a point at least tonight, but the goal at plus 450, I love that plus money. Toronto versus Florida. I think this one starts off highly defensive. Joseph Wall versus Bobrovsky. Give me the under 1.5 in the first period at -110. I do think if we're going to see some goals tonight, I would take Tavares for the power play point, Matthew Knies for the long shot goal at +330, and then Barkov for the point for Florida. I think this one starts off highly defensive and goaltending wise. I'm not sure what we'll get by the end of this game. Again, lots of players now playing for Florida that were listed as day-to-day going into this one. So Sam Bennett looking like the only player that is officially out of the lineup. The Vancouver Canucks versus the Dallas Stars. I do think this one just goes over that total. Just give me the over 5.5 at -105. Demko has solid numbers versus the Stars, but hasn't faced them this season. And the Stars alone could go over this total. They put up 5 the last time at home versus Vancouver and allowed Vancouver to put up 3. The New York Islanders and the Nashville Predators. The Islanders can't play in Nashville or against Nashville. They're coming off exciting game versus the Capitals where they were able to get the win, but Ovi did get goal number 895. I think this is a hard game for them. I think they stay under 2.5 goals. We're getting that at +136. And I think the Predators at home at +105 is a great way to go. The Seattle Kraken versus the Utah Hockey Club. Give me Utah's team total over 3.5 goals at -130. I think you look here just fading the Seattle Kraken. If you want Utah in regulation, I like that too. Logan Cooley has scored 1 goal in 4 of Utah's last 6 games as a favorite. Look for Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, and Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller to come out nice and strong. Nick Schmaltz looking for point number 60 tonight. And then last but not least, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. Again, could be a playoff matchup. Give me the under 1.5 in the first period at +100. Jack Eichel for a goal coming in at +195. Valerie Nichushkin for goal number 20 for Colorado. And then the overtime bet at +320. So you guys, that is a recap of the games. When we're looking at player props, where I like best for those players. It's a hard one here. We're going to look at players that are looking to get their stats up, right? So I do think Morgan Geekie is my favorite player to get his stats up. Free agent this summer. He's having one of his best seasons, you guys. 29 goals this season. Last year, he had a career high of 17. So hugely different this year for Morgan Geekie. Give me Morgan Geekie for 30. For goal number 30, it's coming in at +310. And then I love Pasta and Geekie. Pasternak looking to get 100 points on the season. He has 97 right now. Give me Pasta for 2+ points. Give me Morgan Geekie for the goal. Those are my favorite players that I have circled. And then Monahan. I do think Monahan's going to score for Johnny Gaudreau tonight. We know this team is playing for them. And Meredith just had Johnny and her new baby. So I do think Monahan comes out big. Those are the storyline ones I'm looking at. You know, we've got to continue to ride with Erik Karlsson. He's 1 goal shy of becoming the 24th defenseman to reach goal number 200. He's coming in at +460. I love that combination of Bedard and Ryan Donato for their points tonight at +107 for Chicago. And then Sid, Rust, and Raquel for their points at +140 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So those will be my favorite player props of the day, you guys. When I look at those overtime bets, I really do think you have to look at the Red Wings and Montreal to go to overtime. That's coming in at +330. I wouldn't be shocked if Chicago and Pittsburgh goes to overtime as well. That game meaningless except for those stats out there for those players. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets could push the Ottawa Senators to overtime in that one too. And then last but not least, it would be, I think Toronto and Florida. You got to look at Toronto and Florida and then the Avs and Vegas. And I think we've got a bunch of games that have that possibility of going to overtime. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. I hope that you guys make some freaking money out there. And that it is a good day. Yeah, Ryan Leonard, I was talking about the Buffalo Sabres for Ryan Leonard. If I accidentally slipped the Buffalo Sabres, it's because, or the Boston Bruins, it's meaning the Buffalo Sabres for Ryan Leonard. He has been able to score a goal in the first 2 appearances, the first goal in the first 2 appearances, or the last 2 games versus Carolina at home. Ryan Leonard with the Buffalo Sabres. So sometimes when I get talking this fast, you guys, other names start rattling off. I need some more coffee this morning. I hope you guys have had a great start to your day. It is 11 a.m. my time. Stay tuned for my cup of Joe. That video will be dropping here shortly. And I want to wish you guys all the best in all of your bets. Again, thanks for joining us here on Pocket with Joe on the daily, noon Eastern. If you guys can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that retweet button, I would so greatly appreciate it. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Shorter slate tomorrow.